am Cyrus Hojadi. So recently, two famous YouTube commentators, Vicent James of the Red Elephants and Nuance Bro, got in a kind of a debate or dispute on illegal alien crime. And these are two YouTube channels that I'm subscribed, and Vicent James is actually somebody that I actually pretty much know. He actually interviewed me about 2 years ago in a Laguna Beach protest following up to the Charlottesville events. Now, the main issue that they're debating in is illegal immigrant crime. Vicent James argues simply that illegal aliens commit more crime than native-born Americans. So Nuance Bro, a guy who is very critical of illegal immigration, believes that we should secure the border and reduce the incentive for illegals to stay in the U.S., just like I do, just like Vicent does, has a different form of belief. Now, but I have some mixed bags from both sides. Now, first of all, I will agree on with Nuance. I do not believe that illegals commit 37% of the murders in the U.S. Another thing about Nuance Bro is that he is right. Just because illegal aliens are a disproportionate number of people who are in federal cells does not mean that they commit necessarily about 25% of the crimes, despite the fact that they're in about 25% of the cells. Because first of all, cells are not just limited to the federal government, it can also come from state and local. I just want to point out, first of all, I believe that it is wrong to have sanctuary cities, considering the fact that we got the angel moms like Agnes Skippany who lost her son, and then sanctuary cities protect them. That is totally wrong and totally irresponsible. Now, here's what I do know. I do know that illegal aliens, or whatever you want to call them, unlawful immigrants, undocumented, whatever, commit more crimes on average than legal immigrants do. And many charts, of course, prove that. Now, if you look at the crime data, generally, if you look at the city of Santa Ana, which has a lot of illegal aliens, and then if you look at Irvine, California, which is about 35–40% of the population that is foreign-born, you'll see that Irvine, California is actually the safest city on average with more than 250,000 people. That actually overtook, I believe, the city of Henderson, which is only a few miles from where I live, where only 11% of the population is foreign-born. And Santa Ana has a very high illegal alien population. It is now the dangerous city in Orange County, California. However, keep this in mind, though, that Santa Ana, given its population size, it is not even the top 30 or cities in America that has a population of over 250,000 people that is considered as dangerous. So yes, there are crime issues with illegal aliens, but it's not necessarily to a point where it's really making our country the most dangerous places to live in terms of the cities that they influence. First of all, I want to debunk some claims made by Vicent James. Now, Vicent James points out that the crime rates were pretty low in 1960, and the main reason why crime rates are higher than it is now in 2019 than then is because of growth of immigration, particularly from Hispanics. Now, this is where Vicent James, in my opinion, is actually incorrect. First of all, the crime rates in the U.S. is much higher than it was in 1990 than it is today. America's crime rates have been falling sharply since 1991. And despite that, we've seen a growth in foreign-born population, particularly Hispanics. Much of the crime increases happened during the mid-1960s to the mid-1970s, and we certainly have not had a lot of immigration. Here's another issue. What Vicent James does not tell you is that crime rates were very high, one of the highest in the early 20th century. That was when we were having the Gilded Age, and not to mention, a lot of that was due to immigration. Now, immigration in the early 20th century was not necessarily Hispanic. It was actually European immigration. Many of them were mobsters coming from Italy, Ireland, and many other countries, which created a whole vast of problems of shootings, killings, a lot of money laundering. Certainly there was prohibition, and we had lots and lots of crime issues. And if you don't believe me, I suggest you take a visit to the Mob Museum here in downtown Las Vegas. So Vicent James is kind of misleading you. And as a matter of fact, the problem is he's been playing the race card a lot. Now, certainly I will agree that Hispanics commit more crime on average than white Americans do. Now, keep in mind, though, that the ones that commit a lot of that crime are illegal aliens. And we do know that, of course, blacks on average commit way more crime than Hispanics do, which can prove the idea that perhaps illegal aliens do not commit more crime than U.S. citizens, because a large part of U.S. citizens are African Americans. And if you look at the cities that have the highest violent crime, St. Louis, Detroit, New Orleans, these are cities that are filled with African Americans. And the other issue with Vicent James, he constantly says, well, we have to be concerned about future blue waves because there's more and more Hispanics and anchor babies. And yes, it is true to a certain point that we've got 65–70% of Latinos that vote Democrat. Now, what he doesn't tell you is that a large number of them can be illegal voters. But nevertheless, what he doesn't tell you is that there's a lot of immigrant-infested areas like Anaheim, California, which has, I think, about 50% of the population that is Hispanic, and I believe it still has a Republican mayor, and it has certainly a large number of Asian and Middle Eastern population that lives in that city as well. If you look at the city of Irvine, the voter registration balance between party lines is about purple as well. It has a very high foreign-born population, and whites are actually a minority. So I don't really believe it entirely or mostly has to do with the race. I think it has to do with the kinds of immigrants that we are getting, and that's why I believe America should adopt a more merit immigration policy. Now, it's true that if you bring in a lot of poor, impoverished people into your country, it's going to support more and more to the Democrats. And it's true that one of the reasons why California flipped blue over the course of decades was due to immigration, although I don't think that that was the main reason. If you look at the state of California and its voting habits, you'll find that the areas that are really, really blue is in the Bay Area, particularly San Francisco, Alameda County, and these are the areas that gave us Gavin Newsom, Jerry Brown, Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, all these politicians, and many of them were actually pumped by white liberals. Of course, Vicent James needs to tell you and elaborate more on this issue. So, again, that's just my take, and tell me, what do you guys think about this video? Do you really think that illegal aliens commit more crimes? Sure, I will agree that there are crime issues, but I think at the same time, it's important that we get our statistics and our data right. My main concern with illegal aliens is not necessarily the crime issues or the fact that they look different. My main issue, once again, is the fact that really it doesn't provide a net benefit to Americans, but more importantly, the purpose of pumping these illegal aliens and the legal immigration, which of course has its roots from the 1965 immigration law, the purpose of that was not really to strengthen America. The main purpose of that was to really replace our country, to replace our culture, not just in America, but the entire Western world. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Please share this video and get this video out to Vicent James and Nuance Bro. Take care.